Hey there, my name is Grace, and today I'm going to teach you how to plan a concert tour in 8 easy steps. Now, why should you listen to me? I'm about to embark on my 8th ever concert tour despite being an incredibly mediocre musician, so if I can go on tour 8 times, you can certainly embark on your first tour. It's super simple. Here we go. Step 1. First, you have to find some friends to go with you. Trust me, you don't want to go on tour by yourself. So look for people that you know sort of well, probably not your best friend. If you have bandmates, obviously, they'll be coming along. If you're a solo artist, you want more people to fill your car. Things I look for in good tour mates include the ability to drive, a good sense of humor, great music, the ability to drive, funny and inspirational, the ability to drive. It's really good if you can find a tour mate that can help you do the driving. Step 2. Set your time frame. Think about how long you can take off from work or from school. For a first tour, I would generally recommend only about a week. You don't want to trap yourself in a car with semi-strangers if this isn't something that you're actually dedicated to doing. So for your first trip, why not just plan like 6 shows and just see what happens? Step 3. Plan your map. Now this is where things start to get really fun and tangible because you're going to start in your hometown and you're going to end either in your hometown or the hometown of one of your tour mates. You want to start and end in places where you have good solid fan bases. From there you're going to pick a reach destination, somewhere that you'd like to go, maybe that you haven't been before as an excuse for adventure. That's how my friends and I do it. Or if you've got a good fan base somewhere that's a little farther away from you, this is a great excuse to go and celebrate and connect with that fan base. So you're going to pick your reach destination and plug it in the middle. Then you're going to fill in the gaps to see how you can get there most efficiently, hitting as many major cities as you can along the way. I recommend a drive no longer than 4.5 hours for your first time on the road. The drives add up and they take a lot more out of you than you expect. Consider how many people are able to drive, how many drives you're going to be able to split or pass along, how comfortable your car is going to be. These are all things that matter a lot. And cities that you've got friends to crash with or that you've always wanted to visit. Tour is an adventure as much as it is a business opportunity, and my friends and I really just are in it for the adventure. So this time we started in Virginia and we're going to New Orleans because that was our reach destination, and we're going to end up in New York. And we're going to cover it in about 2 weeks. It's all very reasonable. Most of our drives are around 4.5 hours. Step 4. At this point, you should have a sweet map put together and you should have dates alongside every city so you know when you're going to be the places that you are going. From there, you're going to start booking. Really simple. Just a tedious process. There are a couple of resources that I really rely on. IndieOnTheMove.com is one of my favorites. It's a comprehensive venue database that will tell you all sorts of great venues in each state. You can sort by age entry, so if you're looking to play all ages shows as opposed to 21 up venues, you'll be able to know those restrictions. It gives you information on the type of music each venue books, the draw the owners are looking for, or the number of people that the venue can accommodate. Guarantee information is sometimes listed on there, as well as contact information so you know the best way to get in touch with the venue to receive a prompt response. Things to consider while booking venues. Traditional music venues are going to require that you find local acts to perform with you, especially if this is your first tour. If you can't guarantee a draw, they don't know that they can make money, so they want to make sure you're paired with local artists so that other people from town are coming to see the show and spend money. The problem is most of these venues are going to make you find those bands, so check on Reverb Nation, do Google searches, network with your friends, network with your friends, network with your friends, see who you can find all over the country. And the other great thing about developing these relationships with other bands that you perform with is sometimes they can offer you places to crash as well. Super money-saving bonus points. Also, don't be afraid to book non-traditional venues. Just because you've only ever played in dive bars doesn't mean you only ever have to play in dive bars. Play in public parks, play at libraries. They pay money. That's pretty sweet. Music cafes are easy to find. Just Google search any of these kinds of venues. Click through their websites. Make sure you pay attention to all the details they have listed. If they have information about how they book shows, follow the instructions that they give you. They're not going to book you if you ignore their requests. Don't email venues that must be called. Don't call venues that must be emailed. They won't book you. In the headers of your emails, I recommend putting your band name and the date that you are looking to book, especially if you're trying to book a traditional venue. Keep the copy of your email very short, sweet, and to the point. Include a link to your music. If you have an EPK, this is a great place to drop that link. Include a phone number because some venues will prefer to call you rather than emailing a response. Do not attach files. Don't attach photos or MP3s. Unless somebody asks you to, you're just wasting space, and most people won't click on something with an attachment they don't recognize. I like to keep a spreadsheet of all the venues that I've contacted so that I know who I'm in touch with and when I was last in touch with them. That way, when I go to the next step for following up with venues, I know exactly what I'm doing. Step 5. Follow up. You've just sent out a bunch of emails. You want to give it about a week so that people have time to read and process your materials. And then if they haven't responded to you, just send a nice, courteous follow-up message, maybe 2 sentences, saying, hey, I contacted you about this event on this date. Please let me know if you have any questions. That way you can get a response from people who may have read your email and thought about it and just forgot to respond, or were looking into details and hadn't had a chance to actually get in touch with you. Step 6. Now, while you're booking all of these shows and things, you have to think about all of the other logistics, and you should be doing this step simultaneously with all of the others. You need to figure out what car you're taking, if it's a car that you and your tour mates own, or if you need to rent a vehicle. That's a big expense, and it's something you need to know up front. From there, you can calculate how much gas money you're going to need. There are websites you can type in what gallon tank you've got, and it'll tell you how much gas is approximately going to cost you for the mileage you're going to cover. Since you've got that map, you know how far that'll take you. You can get an estimate of how much money you're really putting on the line for this tour, and know, resultingly, how much you need to be making from these venues. The other thing you need to plan at this point is where you're going to sleep. Touring costs a lot of money, and you probably don't want to blow most of it on hotels. If you do, you're going to be stuck at like Super 8s, not the greatest thing on earth. So you want to find friends that you can crash with, maybe fellow musicians, talk to the venues. A lot of times they have recommendations or have established relationships with places and people that you can stay with. The more floors you can crash on, the better. Often it comes with a free meal as well, and you get to know the people that you're staying with, which is super fun and one of my favorite parts of touring. Step 7! At this point, everything should be pretty much together. You've got all your venues booked, you're excited, you're ready to go. It's time to promote. This is the step that most people fail on. I personally fail on this every time. We always run out of time to promote. You want to start by making sure you've got a Facebook event for every show that you're playing. You want to invite everyone that you've ever met in that entire state, maybe neighboring states that might be willing to come to your show. It's really hard to get a draw in a state that you've never played before, especially if you don't have a good network of local bands that are drawing in a crowd for you to win over. So Facebook, you want to email radio stations, newspapers, send out press releases. Treat yourself as an official band. You're going on tour. You are legit. You want to make sure you get as much media coverage as possible so that people will know about your show, be excited, and come out to it. And at last, step 8. Go on tour. That's it. It's really only 8 steps. It's not complicated. You don't have to be a super talented musician. You do have to have a little cash because it's not always going to be the most profitable endeavor. But the more seriously you treat it, the more seriously people will treat you, and the more realistic your chances for touring as a musician will become. Have a great time with your friends. Sometimes things unravel. It's not always going to be perfect. It's not always going to be easy. Roll with the punches. Have a lot of fun. Sing your heart out. Play great music. And have a wonderful time. So obviously touring is different for everyone, and the tips that work for me aren't necessarily the tips that are going to work for you. If you have tips for touring as a musician because you've rocked it out in the past, go ahead and leave them down in the comments. And if you have questions about touring or specific tour-themed questions, leave them there, and I will do my best to answer all of them. You can also connect with me on Twitter at Grace_Kendall. There you can also find information about my tours and my music and the upcoming ukulele album of Little Songs, which I'm about to release. Very excited to go on my 8th tour. I'm with my BFFs from Carpe Geekdom, a nerd collective we formed last summer when preparing to go on tour together. And these are the kind of things that you'll learn. You'll find tour mates that you just totally click with, and then you'll want to tour with them absolutely forever. So I'm very excited to hit the road again. You can click the links below for, information on our Kickstarter and all our tour dates and all that sweet stuff. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a wonderful first tour. Good luck.